I'm Sarthak, the Student Executive Head of Center for Innovation, the Tinkering Lab of IIT Madras.
Hello everyone, I'm Harsha, the Student Executive Head of NIRMAAN, the pre-incubator of IIT Madras. It's a very special day today because I invite you all to one of our dream projects, Innosphere. And as part of our inaugural edition, we have the Honorable Director of IIT Madras, Professor V. Kamakoti, giving the opening address.
Namaste. Friends, I'm very happy to meet you through this podcast. It's a very interesting idea taken up by CFI of recording this podcast every month, and this will be the inaugural edition of that. Friends, as we had been discussing during our interactions, innovation and entrepreneurship is going to be the most vibrant part of IIT Madras life. CFI, NIRMAAN, the Gopalakrishnan Deshpande Center, and of course the 5 incubators that we have, the incubation cell of IIT Madras, the Health Technology Innovation Center, the IIT Madras Pravartak Foundation, the Bio Incubator, and the Rural Technology Based Incubator. These are actually the organizations which are the basic building blocks of what we may call as the I&D stack of IIT Madras. We are very, very keen that every idea that comes out for the students of IIT Madras must not be wasted. And we are very supportive of trying to translate this idea into a product. Friends, I am also extremely happy that around 16 groups have registered themselves for eventually making up a startup based on their ideas. And CFI and NIRMAAN are working towards supporting them in the most effective manner, guiding them, mentoring them, and finally, we would like to see a bunch of very successful startups. That IIT Madras students must become employers rather than employees. In that direction, I want you to be a founder of a startup or get employed in a startup of IIT Madras. And if in the years to come, we gradually grow from 20% to 40% of our total graduating students becoming employers or getting employed in our own incubated companies, that will be a very, very big contribution of IIT Madras to the entire nation. Friends, ideas are important. If a country has to become a superpower, it is just because we own the ideas. In this context, I am also very happy to tell you that in the last 2 months, our Industrial Consultancy and Sponsored Research Center of IIT Madras has recorded more than 30 patents every month. That essentially means we have been filing 1 patent every day. And this must continue. All our ideas need to be protected. And it must belong to us. We must own it. The role of CFI, NIRMAAN, and the Gopalakrishnan Deshpande Center and all the 5 incubators is extremely crucial to make this entire journey very successful. I would like to see around 50 to 100 startups every year coming out of this I&D stack of IIT Madras, and we must set examples of how we incubate startups, how we mentor startups, and how we help them grow into a unicorn. I'm very, very confident that within the next decade, every year, we would see a couple of companies becoming unicorns. And that day will be a very big Thanksgiving day, not only for IIT Madras, but for our state, for our country, and a big example to the globe. With these words, I must also congratulate the 4 A's of this month, the Avishkar Hyperloop, who has been rated number 3 in the world, Abhyuday, who had come 16 in the world out of more than 200 participants in the American spaceport competition, Anveshak, which have claimed the sixth spot, and of course the Abhyaan race car, which have been rated the best in the world in many of the parameters. The four A's, Avishkar, Abhyuday, Anveshak, and Abhyaan, really have done us proud, and I would like to see many more accolades coming up in the remaining part of this year. And I also want you to go and talk to your juniors, encourage them to participate in these activities, and I will also try my best to see that in the curriculum, specifically the undergraduate curriculum, there is one stream where it is dedicated to entrepreneurship and innovation. That will help you to translate your ideas into products, into successful startups, and proceed further. So we are all committed, and we will all work together and see that this very important journey, this very big dream, converts into reality. Thank you very much, and wish you all the best.
Thank you, sir, for your vision on the innovation and entrepreneurship sphere of IIT Madras. It was very inspiring. Next, we have Professor Prabhu Rajgopal, Advisor IND, talking about Innosphere.
Good afternoon, Prabhu sir. Great to have you here as always. Innosphere is a flagship event of the Office of Innovation and Entrepreneurship. Could you tell us a little bit more about the genesis of Innosphere? How did the term get coined?
Hi, good afternoon. It gives me great joy to participate in this first Innosphere podcast. And coming to this question, actually the name sort of marinated out of many of our minds coming together. When we had the inauguration of this Sudha and Shankar Innovation Hub by the Vice President of India, Shri Jagdeep Dhankarji, earlier this year, Abhigyan Chattopadhyay, who was then the CFI student head, gave a very nice speech in which he mentioned that the symbolism behind our innovation hub. So those of you who have been here know that the centerpiece of the architectural design of the innovation hub is a sphere. Right, and the main competition teams and also some of the key meeting rooms here are housed within this spherical volume or space as such. And Abhigyan also said that the symbolism here is that making for India, making for the world. So that is, we are here, joined together in our express motive to deliver impact across the globe. And because we are in the innovation and entrepreneurship sphere, so a portmanteau of these gave us the word Innosphere, and that sort of captured this entire spirit very well, I suppose. The architecture, the design, the intent of what we want to do, the student participation in this whole activity, and it just seemed kind of a cool name to have, Innosphere, as our, the name of our podcast, and in general, also the name of our entire outreach initiative.
Indeed, sir. Innosphere has that zing to it, which aptly captures the mood here at the Innovation Hub. Please tell us about the objective of the podcast. CFI and NIRMAAN do have blogs and newsletters, but why do you think there is a need for a podcast like Innosphere?
So, our IND sphere at IIT Madras, for example, has been very active. The CFI, the Center for Innovation, was created in 2007, so it's been around for almost 16 years now. The pre-incubator NIRMAAN has been around for almost half that time. Today at CFI we have more than 25 active clubs, 6 of them competition teams that are internationally recognized, several of them winning the top awards at some of the best events across the world. The 19 or 20 other teams at CFI are doing cutting edge work in various domains: astronomy, mathematics, bioinformatics, and so on. But we have always found that all of this knowledge about what we are doing is not percolating out across to the community. NIRMAAN, for example, has supported almost 140 teams over the last 7 years. We have had some, extremely impactful startups that have emerged from this space. The team that created Aether, for example, was also at the start of our Formula Racing team. Startups such as Galaxy, Aether, Planis, Detect, and so on have come out of CFI activities directly. More recently, teams such as Stan 90, Modulus Housing, Agnikul have all come out of our, CFI NIRMAAN collective as such. But a lot of this information is not, known everywhere. So our goal in creating this podcast is to feature the key stakeholders in our innovation and entrepreneurship sphere, so that there is more awareness, more understanding, and more participation from everybody, particularly the student community, in what we are doing.
Yes, I do hope this reaches the entire student community, and even the stakeholders at large too are aware of the path-breaking innovations happening here. So sir, what does Innosphere intend to achieve? Could you delve deeper into the impact you think it would have on the students?
So, the vision of our director, Professor Kamakoti, is that we have to put out 100 impactful startups every year. This is a very loaded phrase and statement. So again, Professor Kamakoti says, and I say that with a lot of appreciation, is that IIT Madras is perhaps one of the few places in the world where we talk about social impact and startups in the same breath. Usually startups mean, people think that they represent valuations, they represent, huge exits and so on. Well, all those are part of the game. But in addition, what we are looking to do here is to create social impact. Reach the last mile, gird up our loins and deliver services such as, for example, development of robots for eliminating manual scavenging being done by Solinas, inspecting bridges and dams, maintaining them from catastrophic failure, space-based telemetry, for example, being done by Galaxy to prevent, challenges during natural disasters. So we want to create these kinds of, impactful solutions, and creating 100 of them is the mission and goal. Now, a lot of it is not going to be possible if our own stakeholders do not know what we do, what are the kinds of resources and services that we bring to the table, and what are the potentials and possibilities that this ecosystem can bring about. So the aim is to create awareness, create more sense of participation and belonging, more sense of appreciation, so that our vision of catalyzing 100 deep, impactful technological startups becomes a reality. That's the goal of the Innosphere podcast.
Wow, a tall order definitely, but seeing your passion, I feel it has been imbibed by all over here. And with the enthusiasm of the students, it surely is achievable. So, what can we expect from the upcoming podcasts? What all topics would be covered?
Excellent question. So the Innosphere is intended as our outreach activity. This will involve a podcast. It also involves an e-zine or a magazine. It involves social media presence. It involves digital media presence and also regular presence. So through all of this, what we wish to cover primarily is to highlight the activities of our innovation stakeholders. So what do different CFI teams do? For example, this summer, several of our teams in the competition side of CFI, including Avishkar Hyperloop, Abhiyan, and so on, have gone on and won challenges across the world. We want to highlight these kinds of achievements. We want to highlight the achievements of our startup teams. This is what we want to do through this podcast: spread awareness and spread understanding and appreciation of the kind of work that our stakeholders are doing.
Great, sir. Lastly, just to encapsulate everything that you have mentioned so far to the audience, what is IIT Madras's vision for innovation and entrepreneurship?
Essentially, our goal at the IND sphere and the vision of our leadership is to create potentially disruptive technological solutions so that the last mile in the social, industrial, and economical spheres can be impacted. This last mile is the most challenging aspect in delivery of services and solutions in this vast and variegated country of ours. This can mean things like taking drinking water to the remote villages, taking healthcare to places where it is difficult to reach. For example, delivering vaccines somewhere, or coming up with fundamental solutions for things like availability of food, clean water, environment, and so on. All of these are possible with the help of deep technology solutions that a place like IIT Madras is incubating, and our goal is to make sure that these become available to people through sustainable and impactful technological startups. So that is what is the vision for the INE sphere for IIT Madras.
Thank you, sir. Thank you very much. I feel that sums it up aptly. Up next, we have Sarthak introducing Center for Innovation, followed by an interesting conversation with our rocketry team, Team Abhyuday.
The Center for Innovation IIT Madras is a pioneering student initiative. It has been a makerspace or a tinkering lab for the students to try out their new ideas. I am proud to be the part of our first podcast, Innosphere, which will showcase the efforts of our students to the outside world. The team that we are going to interact with today is Team Abhyuday. They are one of the youngest team in C5 working on a sounding rocket. In the Spaceport Challenge, they came ranked 16th out of 167 teams held in New Mexico. Over to Abhyuday. Could you start off with a brief introduction about Team Abhyuday? What do you do and what the history has been?
Yeah, so we are Team Abhyuday. We are the rocketry team of IIT Madras in C5. We formed about a couple of years ago as a student innovation project, and now we have successfully built our first rocket, as you can see behind me. So this rocket, Chetak 1, has been flown in the deserts of New Mexico in the Spaceport America Cup 2023. Spaceport America Cup is the largest intercollegiate competition held annually in the US, and this was our first successful launch over there. We achieved 16th overall in the flight performance index in the world out of 160 plus teams, and it was a very eventful experience for all of us.
You mentioned you guys went to USA. How was the experience in USA?
It was a great experience. As I said, it was the first time for us in the competition, and we learnt a lot. So apart from our own learning that we had throughout the year and our learning that we had over there, quite harsh lessons that we learnt over there in terms of final design in the United States, I think the exposure that we got to the other competition teams and the entire rocketry ecosystem in the world, including companies which were in the form of sponsors like Blue Origin, etc. And more importantly, the approximately 1,000 odd rocketry nerds who gathered in one hall to kind of share the love for rocketry across countries. As I said, 160 plus teams and really successful teams at that. So we are relatively new, in fact, but there are very established teams that we learned from and we took inspiration from, and we would like to emulate that ourselves and go beyond that.
What role does innovation play in your rocketry project? Could you brief us on the design and engineering solutions that your team has come up with?
Yes, so rocketry is a very complex thing in itself. I mean, rocket science has been a very old adage to actually describe something very complex. So that is what we tried. For the first year, we kept it pretty simple, but even that was a huge challenge. So manufacturing things from carbon fiber, glass fiber, and building our own off-the-shelf avionics and things like that, we had a lot of learning to do. And this year, we are even going further. So we are trying to have way more innovation in a lot of aspects. So for example, we have a new vertical for propulsion, which is building a hybrid rocket engine. So what that does is it's a mix between solid and liquid, and we have a land allocated in the new Discovery campus in Thayur for making the first student-led hybrid rocket engine test facility in India as far as we know. So that's exciting news. Other than that, we also are going to design our own avionics this time completely. We are going to design our own airframe again, and we have a couple of very exciting payloads with collaborations with professors, which the details of which I cannot reveal right now, but it's in the making.
These kind of competitions often involve collaboration with other teams and organizations. Can you talk about the collaborative efforts and the partnership that your team engages in?
Yeah, so it's a very iterative process, as anything in engineering is. We do all of the design and manufacturing in-house. So we divide our team into multiple sub-verticals: airframe, propulsion, avionics and recovery, payload, etc. And then each of them goes through a design and manufacturing stage itself, with integration done at the end. So we first obviously start out with simulations, be it fluid simulations, stress simulations, etc. And then we go on to manufacturing, prototyping. We use the help of our excellent workshop facilities here at IIT Madras, and also in CFI, the CNC machines, 3D printing club, etc., to kind of bring all of this together.
For students who are interested in pursuing a career in aerospace or rocketry, what advice or insight would you offer based on your experience?
So I'll keep this question pertaining to an Indian context, where, to be fair, aerospace is kind of looked down upon. But coming to an institution like IIT Madras, we have one of the India's finest aerospace department, and it is when you come here that you realize aerospace is actually a very cutting edge field. I mean, getting yourself 30,000 feet in the air is not easy, and into space is even harder. So to all those aspiring aerospace engineers, I would say, if you have a genuine interest in aerospace engineering, keep at it, because the industry is only going to grow from now.
Lastly, how can listeners and potential collaborators get in touch with your team or stay updated on your projects and activities?
So we have a website, Team Abhyuday, for collaborators to get into touch, and this year we are definitely looking at various possible collaborations: engine research, photonics in space, etc. We are looking for sponsors as well, but what we feel is technical collaborations will be very helpful for both us and the industry. Apart from that, as I emphasized earlier, we want to develop a rocketry culture in India. So any collaborators who would who share the same principles and would like to connect with us, please do get in touch via LinkedIn or any other social media platforms that you use. We are looking to get in touch with ISRO as well for launch permissions. We are looking for collaborations with various other professors, industries, and all of that. Apart from that, for students, please do get in touch at any time. We are more than open to explain what we do and what you can join us and do together. So any student who is willing to collaborate with us, join us, connect with us out of interest, please contact any of our team members. All the details are given on the website.
Thanks for your insights and information about Team Abhyuday and IITM in general.
Next, we have Harsha speaking about NIRMAAN, followed by a conversation with one of our IIT Madras very own startup.
All of us have many ideas, but have you ever wondered how many of these ideas can be potential startups? What is stopping us? Most of the time, we feel that these ideas are vague, or we are unsure about how it's going to turn out. We feel there's some risk involved with entrepreneurship. That's where NIRMAAN, the pre-incubator of IIT Madras, comes in. NIRMAAN basically allows such ideas to blossom. However, if you have one common takeaway from all successful entrepreneurs, be it an Elon Musk, a Jack Ma, or even Narayana Murthy, it is that it is these very ideas that have helped them reach the place that they are at today. NIRMAAN, the pre-incubator of IIT Madras, provides the answer to this and much more, because it helps budding students experience entrepreneurship in a risk-free manner. They provide a platform where students can work on their business ideas, come up with technically feasible and economically viable solutions that help solve modern real-world problems. For our first edition of Innosphere, we have one of our very own startups, Team Krishaka, which is working in the agri-tech space. So, on to them. Hello, Team Krishaka. Please tell us a little bit about yourself.
So I'm Ishwar. I'm pursuing my dual degree in IEEE electric vehicles. He's Hemant. He's pursuing his BTech in mechanical engineering. He's Mandeep, pursuing his IEEE in electric vehicles. This is Balasai. He's one of our team members. So he's pursuing chemical engineering.
So it's a very unique name, Krishaka. Could you tell us a little bit about how you came about this term?
So Krishka is an agri-tech startup aiming to mechanize farming industry to make it profitable. So we are mainly focusing on building products for paddy and groundnut. We build 3 products: paddy transplanter, groundnut harvester and groundnut thresher. These are mainly to overcome the labor shortage issues in this industry. So we are building a multi-purpose agriculture vehicle, that is an autonomous electric vehicle that can perform all the activities I have mentioned before autonomously in the field, so as to overcome labor shortage and doing the business cost. We are building an autonomous electrical vehicle that can actually be a farmer by itself. So then we thought of similar names, and in Sanskrit Krishna means farmer. So we thought this would be a correct frame and it's also a little catchy to call upon. So we named ourselves Krishka.
Indeed is a thoughtful name, Krishika. Well, now you mentioned about your multi-purpose agricultural vehicle. Please tell us a little bit more about your prototype. How is it different from those currently in the market? What is its USP to stand out from the other competitors?
Okay, so as Hemant mentioned, so there's a lot of labor shortage in the current agricultural fields. That's because agri-labor, the work of agri-labor is very seasonal. It depends upon, they have to transplant it and then they have to come back for the weeding and also for the harvesting. So they only have work once in a month or maybe once in 2 months. So that's why many laborers are moving to the cities and getting a daily wage job. So due to this, there's a lot of decline in labor. So that's why we are building an autonomous vehicle which is not there in the market currently, which runs on itself and which can take, using our own tech, it can detect the field and it can do all the processes by itself. Other than that, also the current mechanisms in the market, they are not exactly following the traditional methods of the farmers. So usually farmers prefer growing paddy seeds in a field and then they transplant it, they take it out and they transplant it separately. But the current mechanisms, they want the farmers to grow it in a tray and then the tray is being kept on a machine and it transplants it. Tray has certain constraints that the tray can't bear the plant more than 20 days. The roots are constrained after 20 days. So because of all this, the farmer is not able to prepare the field within the time. So we are solving all of this by, we encourage them to plant it in their usual way. After they pluck it, our mechanism will help them. Even after 40 days, they can plant it with our mechanism. And also, they are usually, all the machines in the market are currently IC. They use internal combustion engines. In that, the running cost is very high. Maybe the initial cost might match, we and them, both us and they are on the same level, but the running cost is huge in their case. In our case, as it's an EV, the running cost is really low, and this will help the farmer to use it multiple times and also to share it with others.
Most of the startups at the institute can function independently as well. So why join a pre-incubator like NIRMAAN? What does a pre-incubator provide you as a startup team?
The foremost reason for joining is the idea validation part. So we got to know about our idea is having the potential of being a startup or not by joining NIRMAAN, and we got the mentoring support from the experts and the field contacts, which are very much useful for the field testing.
But being in NIRMAAN, we get this opportunity that we present our work, we get very valuable suggestions, and all these things help us a lot in building our business cases. And also, as he rightly mentioned about the monetary benefits, we use them for the prototyping, and also we get some contacts about the manufacturers nearby. So all this has helped us a lot in bringing the products to life.
Where do you see Krishika 3 years down the line? What is your vision for the team?
Our biggest motivation is to build a product that helps farmers to do his task at the easiest level possible. So right now we are concentrating on paddy and groundnut. We are building a prototype that has a single chassis where a farmer can easily mount and unmount the parts, which helps him to do paddy transplanting, groundnut harvesting and groundnut depodding. And we are planning to do, because the major issue is to build a prototype that aligns with the traditional farming and at the same time reduces the labor work and helps the farmer to do the task at the easiest level. So that's about our product.
What do you think are the key takeaways that you would like to share with budding entrepreneurs based on your experience so far?
So building a startup is a very interesting journey from scratch. So you might face a lot of hustles, your prototype fail a lot of times, you need to reiterate it again, build from scratch. So all these things will be happening, and sometimes it might be very much irritating also. But have a lot of patience while building your product or building your company. So it might take a lot of time down the line, like 5 years, 6 years also probably. But when you see a product coming out, a working product coming out, so that's where you feel the sense of satisfaction which you never get. So yeah, and also apart from this, before going to your drawing boards or like sketchboards, go talk to people, and instead of making assumptions, go talk to people and know the actual problem. So yeah.
Very true. Perseverance and willingness to listen are two skill sets every entrepreneur values in high regard. Thank you, Team Krishaka. With that, we have our two student heads with their closing remarks for the inaugural edition of Innosphere.
CFI isn't just a place, it's a second home to the students of IITM. It's an emotion for us, more than a mere student body. I see a lot of potential in the innovative projects of CFI. There's a lot of scope for commercialization of the same. My vision is to see these ideas rolled out into global market.
It's been 8 years since NIRMAAN was started, and more than 150 teams have passed through the program. The kind of experience and exposure that they have received has been so rich and valuable. So my vision for NIRMAAN would be that it grows so big to such an extent that it becomes the powerhouse of entrepreneurship in India, where we can provide the same kind of experience even beyond the gates of our institute, and students from across the country can embrace entrepreneurship and live their journey.